Baptiste. There's
Yeah.
a new
Yeah, it's
player
not-
with Team Philippines right now.
The hair is the signature,
Yeah.
right? So we're excited to see this again. He is too, giving us the double thumbs up. And that's the thing too, is if you've been following kind of the scene, you know that the XP lane's in good hands, right? I mean, it is, and we'll have to see how that dynamic changes, right? Exactly. And one thing that I will say is XP lane matchup here is crucial for, I mean, any team really. Like the XP lane nowadays isn't just that kind of leave it alone lane and see what happens, you know. So, and with someone like that, with
It's Xbox.
I've heard differently,
It's okay.
but
It's
I
okay.
know most people when they
Xbox.
see it for the first time, Xbox,
Yeah.
like that's how they say it.
Xbox. Yeah. XBOCT.
But I've heard differently. You know what I've heard it is?
What?
Havost.
What?
Yeah, like is it? Okay, I have
That's
seen.
uniquely
Okay,
sounding good.
there's a little background here. Let me give you a little background while the players get set up, right, for the draft. Xbox is how it looks face value, right? But when I first saw it too, and I was casting one of his games, this is in another tournament around the world, and I was like, man, how do you say this name? And my co-caster at the time, shout out to Sona, he said that it's actually Havost, and he had asked him personally how to pronounce it. So, you know, I don't know if that's, you know, we'll have to find out exactly how that works. Is it Xbox? Is it Havost?
Oh, we'll know for sure. Now, in the draft, we might see a different way of how Philippines approaches this game, because this is the first time we're seeing Havost or Xbox in the lineup.
Okay, we'll let you say Xbox.
Well,
we'll let you say it.
we'll know, but this is the first time we've seen him in the lineup of Team Philippines. So this might change everything on how they usually approach the game. So yesterday they went off the meta by not choosing the traditional marksman heroes. Now with the draft, we're looking at focus bans on the gold lane and the jungle. So we have the ban of the Fanny, we have the 1-1, but Philippines, they have been consistent in banning out the Skadeta. And that's one way of like how Ogwen works around the map, how he wants to secure coverage, vision, how he gets into the recon. So they're trying to ban out mostly of the roam choices of KSA. You have the Franco for Team Philippines. They had a fight yesterday also off stream. Now probably they might know something what could be the edge here in taking or making KSA choose the strength in their first pick.
First pick's always... it's always strength, right? I mean, you always get that kind of upper hand of being on the blue side, but at the same time, we've seen just the way that I guess the game of the draft has developed over the course of, you know, even this new meta being set in place. There's so many good picks that even if you have that first priority pick, most likely, you know, the other team has that plan. They're going to grab two of their own. And I would say that the first phase in general, it's almost, I don't want to say it's standard, right? But it's just like most people are like, oh, we can kind of predict things happening here, right? But
that is 3 possible bans on the roam.
Yeah. I think you go ahead and focus on that roam the best that you can. You focus that down, right? Because that is such a game changer role so far, even what we've seen through the series.
But wait,
there's
this
more.
You got me there. You got me there. This opens up the Cho of Troll.
The Troll of Troll.
Yeah, the Cho of Troll.
Oh, the Cho of Troll.
Yeah,
okay.
Which is also a beast on how he performed the first day, but they considered
don't take it.
Eve for this one, the mid lane. You've mentioned how AoEs and sealing all the quadrants and team fights are so much important right now in the meta. So you have eyes on this, maybe learning something from yesterday. Prioritizing the Eve is much way to go in their first pick. Again, okay, Philippines responded in with their Ling and Uranus.
Well, this is, like I was saying, kind of expected in a way. You go ahead and lock in the Ling early on if you're confident enough to, you know, take that risk. In a way, it is a risk from what we've seen recently. The answer, though, from KSA is going to be the Arlot. They go with that. I still think, man, what we've seen from Arlot, even from yesterday, you ideally want to be able to utilize that final slash, right?
Yeah,
but
vengeance.
Yes, but well, in terms of countering that or working around it, okay, that's
See?
great. That's great.
They have it back in their hands. I saw them smile,
Yeah.
getting their signature pick for Troll, and this is setups. And you have an Eve, you have an Arlo breaking team fights in paper, but in execution, we'll also check on how will they approach that part, because right now they have, Philippines has the jungler, it has the Uranus, they have an EXP lane, so would this be a good choice for them to take the marksman? Because as we can see, and in the previous days, it's either they go with the marksman first or they
Yeah.
go with the mage hero first for a few. So we might see how the difference changes here. But it's not.
This is what we were just talking about this earlier, man. You know, going back, throwing it back months ago with the Angeline combo.
Yep.
You know, and this, do they ban out the Esmeralda so that it's just not picked up? But then again, you already have an Arlot there. I'm not sure if KSA wants to go that route of parking a Esmeralda in the gold lane. You know what I mean? And that's kind of what we've seen in the past before pop up. So you kind of have these options now available to you. But what you really need to do if you're KSA is deal, you know, with all those shields.
Yeah, and dealing and draining all of those defenses in team fights, there's a lot of ways that they wanted to like check if this be a viable way of building through this draft. How will we move through these kinds of choices if you have a breaking point of having global coverage with a Ling and also an Angela on their side? And I mean, this throwback on this combo, it's classic, but it's gold in a way that it works, especially with a new emblem now. Well, Angela will put him up on the charts here on the winning ways if you want to go and have great roamers. We are seeing two great roamers here will shine in this kind of game. So, well, worst comes to worst, they might trim down their choices for the tanks and for their roams, but at some point they might need to choose for comfort. They might need to choose for something new or something old. But for the Philippines here, a lot of ways also to adjust as well on how will they want to go up against KSA.
Yeah, we got to see exactly if the draft did change or if it's relatively maybe they have the same first phase already locked in here. I think still, if we talk about, you know, compositions, it will. So we did hear that first phase should be the same. So now diving deeper into it, you know, having those first picks up again, as long as KSA has something to deal with the early game kind of potential with all the shielding, with all the sustain, it should be handled. And now are these first three picks, you know, the Eve, the Cho, the Arla, enough to handle that? Now, in the hands of Troll, the Cho being there, I will say at least they have that, right? Because that's where we saw his best performance yesterday, was on the Cho. So as long as he's got that and he's able to find the pickoffs where you want, all you have to do is, well, you gotta assume that the Heart Guard's gonna come through if you find a way of the Dragon. As long as you have the follow-up damage, you know, so that's something you really have to consider.
Speaking of considering, KSA has eyes on the possible non-traditional gold lane choices, but Super Marco has chosen the Claude, and they ban out the gold lane possible Harith or Lunox, but they responded with a Bane as well as a Leslie. A good counter though for the Claude, but this time around is a Bane. So we're looking at I think the Bane is much more going here in the jungle, right? Rather than being in the either way. What could possibly happen? But for the Philippines, they're surely securing the fact that they have the Fredrin, a much more liable if you're up against either an Arlot or even a Bane that we might expect to change in game. But I say this is one solid way. They have trimmed down the Brody, they've taken down the Karina, and if you're up against a Link, that's one way like to level down the fact that early game could hurt with that true damage. They might as well know that they want to have a caliber early game with this kind of composition.
Well, in just a second here, we're going to be jumping into this first game. Again, we can only analyze so much because the improvements for KSA, obviously learning from yesterday, is apparent in the standings. So now we get to see it and witness it against a team like the Philippines here. Now that we're jumping into the Land of Dawn, game number 1 here in the best of 3. KSA fighting for that second position within the group. Philippines already securing their spot here.
On to the EXP lane, the Philippines go to take and poke in Arlot. Now this is the thing, Uranus has been very effective amongst our games of the day. Half HP
Wow.
onto Ogun, still sustaining though.
Oh,
Troll,
good.
on the other hand, might be in trouble.
Yeah, he's quite aggressive. Already going to flicker out. So, you know, this is something to be expected, if you will, for Troll on the Cho. Very comfortable pick for him so far. You saw, again, previous teams just kind of ban out all Troll's heroes. And even, let's just take a look at the emblems here.
And looking back on how they managed to do a mix and match here, we're seeing how the pokes will differ now for Cuffin, knowing that he's up against either, again, the Angela. But at this point, trying to poke in Troll
Okay.
and Tarzan.
TZ quite low, getting some of that regen back. No follow-up though, just yet. Good response. Few now. Half health as well, Super Marco, to cover fire. They're going to back off, no one falling.
Okay, going back on the laning stage. Still securing Kyle TZ's momentum. Again, as a lane, but looking on the EXP, it's still the same thing, like cutting lanes, trying to aid on.
Oh,
okay.
Sanji though, not level 4 just yet. Kyle TZ able to get away with the Tempest of Blades. Sanji, if he was level 4, just a little bit more, that would have been the first blood. Still going to be going though. X-Bocked on the Uranus. Going back to the lane.
Yep, Impure Rage onto Cuffin as the tier 3 emblem, getting in with the pokes here. If you're up against, well, a Fredrin or even an Angela, you want to get those pokes and spams just to force out the Heart Guard right away. But X-Bot is just the only one here for Team Philippines. Meanwhile, 3 from KSA, 4 present.
Okay, Kyle TZ working on his buff. Might just give it away as he does. So, Turtle secured here for KSA, off to a good start. And that's the thing, right, is if you can kind of continue to play around that KSA, getting those objectives. We saw this yesterday too, where, you know, Bane was planted into the jungle and it didn't work out too well, right? It just wasn't enough to deal with a lot of things being thrown at it. But this time already off to a better start, I would say.
Yeah.
And same thing too, Lark getting his hands on the Leslie, like you mentioned in the draft. The true damage, the potential there is massive, as long as you can get to that point. And we saw great things even from Lark individually. So hopefully he can continue to just farm up, right? Farm up the best he can here.
And looking at this one, it opted for a different route for the tier 3 emblem for Tarzan. Might be getting a good amount of damage. That's a poke.
Troll, look at that. Already with the Way of the Dragon. Comes out the Heart Guard. Tempest Blade's going to be committed as well. Still nobody falling down just yet. And that's what I'm talking about with the sustain. Troll still going to give the go signal with the G Kundo. Tarzan now trying to help him out. Still, look at that sustain keeping him going. It's tough to deal with here. And this was the question, going back to the whole talking points of it.
Yeah, that is
What can you do with the sustain?
Yeah, going out of a sticky situation that Coven is giving out to the table, the Void Crystals, and that's one way of aiding your own goal lane. You have Ogwen using the Heart Guard, using the Love Waves, being present in most of the times that there is an ultimate coming in from Coffin or even a setup from Troll. This prevents them from being in the back line in the Philippines, because once that they do, that they have a chance to even kick or do a setup just like Troll might be doing right now, he kind of be bursted down.
Yeah, Troll's doing an amazing job right now. All they need is a little bit of follow-up, right? They need to get to the point in the game where they can actually capitalize on what Troll is doing, and that would be great for KSA as they start up the second turtle of the game. Philippines getting in position here. Few also sticking on Troll, trying not to let him find his target. There's the Way of the Dragon. Turtle going to be secured by Tarzan as well. Still looking for the pickup here. Can't they escape it? Open going to be in trouble. Massive final slash, able to find the kill. Meanwhile, Troll will fall as well. X-Bocked also quite low, but going to regenerate that back up as he makes his way back to the lane. So far, though, quite even.
Yeah, being even. Kyle TZ getting on his purple, securing more of the buffs and objectives in on their camp. I say they're trying to get on with the trade here. Yes, you take the turtle right out of our hands, but that's two. But they're willing to sacrifice it now, because at the spike of the mid to late game, this is where the composition will shine for Team Philippines. You have a Claude, you have a Uranus. One thing to consider here is the healing, the sustain, the ability to melt through KSA could happen either mid to late game, but right now we see how KSA is capitalizing on their early game window to mid, that they want to secure more of that momentum as they go up against Philippines.
Oh, look at that. Kyle TZ quite low as well. Gets the Heart Guard here. Now Sanji going to be in trouble. trying to keep alive here. Still, it's the 1 versus 2 essentially. Sanji will fall. Ogwin coming out in time for Kyle Teasy.
Staying alive. Ogwin onto the response of that ultimate. Now still being in a safe position here. Now with that kind of sustain, you need that amount of damage. Who's going to be the winning damager? Lark. We want to see more damage, and how will it pull off into the gold lane? Looking at the state here, they're on the same level. You have level 8 between Super Marco and Ogwin. I say they're being patient. They're buying more time to how their winning condition will work.
All right, now to bottom lane, Pokes. Kyle Teasy making his way along with Ogwin and the rest of the crew here. Cuffin knows what's going on. Good thing, again, this is major for them. They got to keep Lark alive. Just farming up. Most likely going to lose that tier 1 turret. Super Marco goes ahead and grabs that. Now all this leading to that next turtle. If KSA can secure themselves the 3rd one in the game, they still are off to a good start at keeping things relatively even in terms of economy here.
Well, economy could be even, but the push, even the turrets down taken by Philippines from KSA is almost 2 turrets down. Look at the macro response of Team Philippines up against KSA, but now a fight is about to break.
Lark's not there. Troll trying to find the right target, not going to be able to find it. Sanji with the final slash will go down here. Even into the RWM, still going to be looking for more. Troll quite low, has to get out. Cuffin in trouble, 1 hit away. Will find it with the Angela tied to Kyle Teasy as they find more, and Lark's a little bit too late to the party as 4 members of KSA fall.
Truly a worthy of a trade for Philippines, sacrificing Kyle Teasy, but that was 4 members down inside of KSA. Now they have more position. Supposedly, they might want to take this 3rd turtle, but with that kind of fight, Philippines is now getting this first turtle objective of this game, and momentum slowly building up from this moment on.
Yeah, taking a look at the items too, you know, time after time with little skirmishes or team fights like that build up in terms of the gold lead. Again, it's still about 3,000 gold at this point. You can see too, majority of the players here working on that 2nd item now at this point. Now, Cuffin's still going to be crucial here in the team fight capabilities, especially around the objectives, right? He already has that Ice Queen wand, helps with the slow, but still what you're really banking on, again, with this lineup is Lark to be able to get that, you know, pretty much the first BOD that he's going to lock in here. He already has the Berserker's Fury, but still needs time to build up, right? And also the right setting here. Still a few eyes set on Lark, gonna push him back. Ogwin also taking the brunt of damage. Troll gonna go in, nice kick into the turret. Will find a kill on Ogwin. Now few gonna be the focus of KSA. They can't quite get it because here comes Kyle Teasy. Now focusing down. Tempest Blade's gonna come through, finds another one, chases Troll back. Philippines punishing KSA here.
Diverting with maximum damage output. Philippines securing that 2 kills. Tarzan and Cuffin, 2 kills over the jungle of KSA. Now they're pushing through a macro response here in the side of Team Philippines, breaking through turrets. Now how do they want to even answer that? In KSA, we haven't seen damage yet building through the defense of Philippines. Now 1 more kill goes to Kyle Teasy as a 5-1-3 and a turret down in mid.
Yeah, again, this is getting to the point, right, where KSA scrambling here. They can feel the pressure being put on by Team Philippines. Troll gonna go in once again. Wrong target to kick, though. It is Xbox. Tempest Blades under the turret, looking for Lark. Has the Heart Guard, too, in a bad position. And it will be a wipeout here as Philippines puts on the pressure.
3-30 Philippines now pushing through the last third of defense down bottom. Now Sanji here would be the last line of defense, but the problem is 3 waves are coming in right in the base of KSA. They need to defend this point if they want to push it through and survive the slaughter they've received early game.
Yeah, at this point, again, like I said, you know, this is very similar to what we saw from Philippines yesterday, building into that lead. It's the 10-minute mark. This seems to be when they just flip the switch and just push on the gas. So KSA somehow, some way, has to defend this first Lord push. Already 2 turrets down in the base. It's going to be very crucial for them to stay into this if they want to. Again, you're talking about a very hard to deal with front line, right? In terms of just Xbox alone. As the Lord makes its way down the mid lane, KSA has to prep up for the defense.
Well, speaking of defense, Xbot just completely take a Twilight Armor. This reduces a single burst damage right on to KSA's skill output. So this is one way of like securing the fact that if he might be the first one to soak up the damage, he might be the one dictating how Philippines will rotate in the base of KSA. Now, Lord in the mid could be the defense of KSA now. Needs to happen.
Should make quick work of that. Again, it's only the first Lord of the game. Biggest thing is, can they hold on to that turret? It looks like so far so good. One more wave of powered up minions charging in. And it looks like Philippines has their eyes set on that last turret. They want to completely expose the base here. Kyle Teasy waiting patiently as well. There you go. Turret gonna get whittled down here by Super Marco. They might try to punch it in. Hard guard along with the Ling. There's the Tempest of Blades looking for the kill on Troll. They can't find it. Still held on. Sanji low as well. Blazing to it, pushing them back. Tarzan will fall. Crystal is gonna be worked on. Still holding on. Final Slash to buy some time, but it's not enough as Philippines takes game 1.
Strong, clean start for Team Philippines in the series 1-0. A great way of combining more of the layers of attack and skills right onto KSA. A complete dominant start for this match.
Like I said, throughout that game, at least, early to the mid, KSA was kind of holding on, right? And they even secured themselves some of those first turtles, the 2 first turtles of the game. They had some control there. But one thing that we see a lot on that macro level is just the way that Philippines rotates around the map,